I got to hand it to Christianity. It really does do a good job at recruiting people. So good, in fact, that people tend to use it for their own motivations and conspiracies. Take a look at this, for example. They claim that not only do they have Jesus' lost years, but they also use this to falsely claim Africa is where Christianity originates.
What if I told you that the missing years of Jesus, those silent, mysterious years between childhood and ministry, were never lost at all? What if the truth had been carefully guarded in the highlands of Africa, protected in ancient manuscripts, written in a language older than Latin, hidden not by time, but by the limits of Western tradition?
The claim that the secrets of Jesus Christ's lost years is present in Africa is a baseless one. Yes, they can claim that they have manuscripts. However, that's assuming the documents are legitimate and were written by Paul, the author of the very thing you call a Bible. Keep in mind, even if you had this information, it wouldn't make Christianity valid or anything you said true, but it would be nice to have some consistency.
This is not just history. It's sacred memory, preserved by one of the world's oldest Christian communities, untouched by colonization, and passed down through centuries of devotion. Ethiopia holds the key to a forgotten chapter of the life of Christ. Before the world knew him as the Messiah, before the baptism in the Jordan and the Sermon on the Mount, there was a child, divine, powerful, and wise beyond human understanding. And his story lives on in Ethiopia.
I'm sorry, but you just said child. I'm completely unaware of any Bible that claims Jesus was powerful and wise child beyond human understanding. In fact, the Bible says the opposite. It tells you that when Jesus was born, he was immediately persecuted by Herod the Great so that he couldn't supplant him. This in turn made his family hide him so he couldn't be killed. So why, if Jesus was such a strong and powerful divine being, why did he have to run and fear dying? That biblical narrative completely destroys this crap you're trying to sell. Now, I am not Christian. I don't think the Bible is the source of knowledge, but if you're going to talk about it, at least represent it the way it is told, not for your obviously Africanized propaganda.
There is no biblical account of his adolescence, early adulthood, or the path that led to his public ministry. This mysterious gap has prompted centuries of speculation and alternative writings trying to fill in the blanks. While the canonical scriptures remain silent, several apocryphal and historical texts, many excluded from mainstream Christian doctrine, attempt to piece together this enigmatic phase. Among the most intriguing sources is the Ethiopian Bible, considered by many scholars as the oldest complete biblical canon in existence.
Wait, let's listen to that again. You said there is no record of Jesus' early life or anything before he became a minister. Then you admit that despite the lack of existing record, you people write your own text to make up for this lost history. Do you not realize that means anyone can write anything? And you will agree simply because it fits your narrative, and you won't have anything to compare it with to know if it's true.
Ethiopia holds a special place in religious history, not just because of its spiritual traditions, but because of its rare status as an African nation that resisted colonization. This historical independence has allowed Ethiopia to preserve ancient manuscripts, traditions, and religious relics without the interference or censorship of European imperial powers. The Ethiopian Bible, written in the ancient Ge'ez language, contains 88 books, far more than the 66 found in the widely distributed King James Version.
And what's your point? Aside from your thinly veiled racial rant that you're trying to hide behind a religious narrative, your argument essentially boils down to you having more legitimacy because you have more books than the King James Version, which doesn't give you more credit, by the way. Having more of something doesn't determine wrong or right. You can write 1,000,000 books in Aramaic about germs being demons and diseases being the work of the devil. That won't make you any less wrong for making such a claim, however.
Extended Old Testament writings and detailed narratives not seen in mainstream Christian doctrine. Unlike many other Christian cultures that adopted the religion through missionary movements, Ethiopia's Christian identity has been indigenous since at least the 4th century AD, possibly earlier. This continuity and protection from colonization have preserved the Ethiopian Orthodox Church as one of the oldest and most intact Christian institutions in the world. Ethiopia's scriptural texts and oral traditions have remained remarkably stable for over 1,600 years, making them an invaluable window into how early Christians may have understood the life and teachings of Jesus, especially the so-called missing years.
First of all, Christianity doesn't begin until 10 years after Jesus died. He died in 33 AD BW. That means that Christianity did not become part of Ethiopia's culture until centuries later, and thus could only do so via a Christian missionary coming over and telling you about it. Secondly, you keep using colonization as if it matters. No religion validates a belief or any racial narrative you are trying to apply. No one knows if God is real or not until they die, and acting as if you do know is hubris and dishonest. You don't like how history played out, and I don't like sharing a world with idiots. Get over it.
Many people mistakenly believe that Christianity in Africa began with European colonization, but Ethiopia's Christian tradition is as old as the faith itself.
As I said, hubris and dishonesty. You can't be as old as the faith itself because the faith started with Jesus and his disciples, and it didn't take shape until a decade afterwards. In fact, you said it yourself that Christianity can't have taken hold in Ethiopia until the 4th century. That means generations of Ethiopians, including the ones who were alive when Jesus was killed, didn't know or care who Jesus was and had their own faiths instead. Anyway, I think the rest of you can see where this train wreck of a racist ideology disguised as a religion is going. Nowhere. If you like this video, please like and subscribe. If you don't, I will find you and demand to see your citizenship certificate as your president. Thank you.